One of the things that in all of my design, my labs, my lectures, my assessments, we have a law in California. We have to engage with our students, and we have to encourage our students to engage with each other. And that is to ensure student success. And so one of my biggest goals is to create community. And that's something that is pretty high maintenance. You know, it takes a lot of energy on my end. And I don't have the same content creation requirements that many people do because I already had a bunch of video lectures created. So the teaching part is pretty high maintenance. I think it's important though. I think students stick more if they're connected up to you and each other, and they're more likely to be invested in the things that you're asking them to do. So everything that I do in my classes is aimed toward providing opportunities to form these connections so that they'll do the lab and that they'll engage in the discussions and the stuff that we want to make happen. So I just included some resources. I do not recommend going and reading the law. Super boring, but this Michelle Pacansky-Brock has some incredible resources for how to humanize your online class they're totally doable things, and you just tack them on. It's like making the videos, you know, you just tack on this thing of making yourself a little more personal in your classes. So a version of a lab that I've done, I call it Homeostasis Speed Dating, and I actually wrote it up for the HAPS educator, and I put a link to the resource, and I think it's non-members, like I think you can access it even if you're not a member of HAPS. So it writes up the face-to-face version of the activity, but I set it up in my online class as a discussion forum, and it was our very first lab of the semester. It's set students, they have a worksheet, and then there are 6 different scenarios. This is the first physio thing that they're doing in my class. And we do this face-to-face. Face-to-face, we speed date it, which is super fun. And I couldn't figure out how to make speed dating happen in my online class. Speed dating is they get a little strip of like instructions for what order to visit each scenario, so they don't go in order, and they show up to each scenario and are working with a whole new group of people. So it's a really cool way to do station work and get students to get to know each other and get cozy talking to different people. Couldn't figure out the speed dating scene online, but I did ask them to discuss the each scenario, and it's really a way of kind of framing pathways and reviewing the anatomy and getting comfortable with communication in the human body. So the discussion, I was like blown away by the discussion. So I just wanted to show you some of the qualities of things that students were talking about with each other. One of the other things that I did right away in the first week was I had the students do a Flipgrid. It's a video discussion tool in our community college. We have access to it for free. So we can integrate it with our assignments, and the students make little videos, and then you can engage with each other. So the students like already had that Flipgrid experience of, you know, talking to each other and kind of seeing each other's faces and getting to know each other in kind of a fun way. But just right out of the bat, like they were super interested in the challenge. And I frame this lab activity as, dude, we're learning. You don't know the answers. Sometimes I don't know the answers. And like physio is gray. Physio, like if you're going to try to put, like you guys were talking about all those, you know, body systems working together. And what if this happens? How's that going to affect all the other body systems? And, you know, students are like, I want black, white. That's it. Like, tell me what box, tell me what the answer is. Tell me what box this goes in. And this activity is really cool because it makes them okay asking questions and not knowing. And they just did such a fantastic job of like trying things out and checking with each other and answering each other's questions. You'll notice I wanted to include like my involvement in this discussion forum. I was super positive and very, very involved. In fact, I'm going to show you some stats on this. This again was the first lab of the semester, and I have 24 students, and there were 200 total posts in this discussion forum. That's a lot of involvement for 24 students. 40 of them were me. And so that's also like, that's a big investment of energy and time on my part. Now, what I can tell you is that I don't go through and like, I'm not doing like a super careful analysis. I'm like, things flying off here and there, and I'm like using slang and woof woof, and it's a very casual, cozy space for learning, but the students are into it. The second time I did a lab like this, I did the endocrine rat lab. It's a simulation of a hormone experiment on rats that you don't have to actually kill any rats or feed them any hormones. And it's a super cool puzzle. It wasn't quite as successful as the homeostasis speed dating, and I probably would have put them in groups in retrospect. I was less stimulated by the discussion. Like it was a little bit more boring. Like the students were just chiming in their responses. But the potential of using a discussion forum to engage with content, I was really pleased at the way that worked.